Moses stood on a mountain where no living man was supposed to survive. And yet Scripture says God spoke to him face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. Then just verses later, that same God tells him, "You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live." How can both be true? Was Moses shown the very face of God, or was something else happening on that mountain? Something far stranger than we've been told? For thousands of years, this contradiction has quietly troubled readers of Exodus. Skeptics point to it as proof the text is confused, cobbled together by different hands with different ideas about God. Believers have wrestled with it for centuries, searching for the thread that ties it together. And somewhere in the middle sits an ancient mystery about what it actually means to encounter the divine, and whether face ever meant what we assume it means. To understand what happened, we have to go back to the world Moses lived in. This is the wilderness of Sinai, roughly the 13th century BC, where the Israelites had just fled slavery in Egypt. Egypt was a civilization obsessed with divine faces. Pharaoh himself was considered a living god, and Egyptian temple art is full of gods revealing themselves directly to kings. Moses had grown up inside that world. So when Israel's God begins speaking with him with this same kind of intimacy, it would have carried enormous weight and enormous danger. The story unfolds inside the tent of meeting, a simple tent pitched outside the Israelite camp. Exodus tells us that when Moses entered, a pillar of cloud would descend and stand at the entrance, and the Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. The people outside would rise and watch from their tent doors, terrified and fascinated, as their leader vanished into a conversation none of them could witness. But then Moses asks for more. "Please, show me your glory," he says, pushing further than any request before it. And the answer he receives is jarring. "You cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live." God tells Moses to stand in a cleft of rock, and as his glory passes by, God will cover Moses with his hand, and Moses will see only his back, not his face. Never his face. So which is it? Friend-to-friend conversation, or a glimpse of a retreating back and nothing more? Here's where scholars separate carefully what the text says from what it implies. The Hebrew phrase used for face-to-face, panim el panim, appears elsewhere in Scripture as an idiom for direct, unmediated communication, not necessarily literal eye contact. Numbers 12 uses similar language when God defends Moses' unique status, saying he speaks to him mouth to mouth, in contrast to the visions and dreams given to other prophets. The point isn't optical. It's relational. Moses had access no one else had, a directness of communication, not a literal visual of God's unveiled essence. The vision of God's back, on the other hand, seems to describe something different, a controlled, partial disclosure of glory, intense enough to require protection, but still short of what Scripture insists no mortal can survive. If you're finding this as fascinating as I do, the way one word in Hebrew can rewrite an entire mystery, this is exactly the kind of question mystery to meaning exists to dig into. Every week we take the parts of Scripture that raise more questions than answers and follow the clues wherever they lead. If that sounds like your kind of journey, consider subscribing before we go any further. This tension between intimacy and impossibility isn't a contradiction to be embarrassed by. It may be the entire point. Moses is given more access to God than any human being in the Hebrew Bible, and still, that access has a limit written into it. Even the most favored man in Scripture cannot fully see the God he serves. And centuries later, John's Gospel seems to echo this exact boundary, declaring that no one has ever seen God, except the Son, who has made him known. Maybe that's the real answer hiding in this ancient tension. Moses didn't see the face of God in the way we picture faces. He saw as much as a human being could survive seeing, and was still left wanting more. Perhaps that longing was never a flaw in the story. Perhaps it was the whole reason the story was told. So here's the question worth sitting with. If even Moses, God's closest friend, was only shown a shadow of the truth, what does that mean for the rest of us who are still searching? Thank you for watching. If this question opened something up for you, give this video a like, and subscribe to Mystery to Meaning so you don't miss where we go next. And I'd love to know, Do you think Moses saw more than Scripture tells us, or exactly as much as he could bear? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep seeking the mystery and discover the meaning.